Okay, so just over a month to go to this summer's Euros in Germany, so let's preview it. Now, the structure of the tournament is 6 groups of 4 teams each, 24-team competition, so the best third-placed teams will progress to the second round, so the 4 best third-placed teams will progress. Not everyone is happy with that, the best third-placed team format, the 24-team format. Not everyone's overly happy with the structure the tournament has since it's expanded. This was a former tournament structure they had in the World Cup many years ago as well, which was regularly criticised, which is why the World Cup got expanded to 32 teams and is now about to expand to 48. However, it's what we've got. We do have a tournament debutant in here. We have some returning nations who haven't been here for a while, which is good to see. And we do have a couple groups of death, as I will call them. Now, we'll start with Group A, work our way to Group F, and we'll talk about the top 2 nations I think that will get through and the potential of who could be one of the best placed third place teams. So Group A obviously has the hosts Germany. Scotland are in there. They're starting to qualify for tournaments again, which is nice to see. Steve Clarke, I think, has done a fantastic job. Can they actually get past the group stage in a major international tournament? That will be the question. Hungary are in there and Switzerland. This is going to be a difficult group for Scotland. Germany, while they're favourites for the group, they're not the team that they were in 2014 when they won the World Cup. They have declined somewhat and they have struggled at recent tournaments. They've really struggled at recent tournaments, and there's been a lot of pressure on the German Football Federation to make some changes somewhere. But they are favourites for this group. Hungary should not be underestimated. Switzerland, very solid, and they regularly get out of group stages but then don't progress much further than the second round. Scotland's going to be a tough group for them, but they've got the experience of a few years ago at the last Euros, where they didn't have the best tournament, but they've now got that tournament experience where there was a long period of time where Scotland didn't appear at international tournaments. They've now got that tournament experience. They've just qualified for their second Euros in a row. There's the potential for Scotland to possibly be one of those best third place sides and actually for once qualify for a second round. But Hungary and Switzerland will be very difficult, and Germany are vulnerable. They are vulnerable. They're not the team they were a decade or so ago. So it's quite an interesting group A, but I wouldn't call it a group of death as such. But Germany should be favourites, and then it's a battle for second place in that group. There's no one team that really stands out, even though Germany are the hosts and one of the big nations, not only in Europe but in global football. They have not been the team of past years, although form has improved in recent times. Group B is, I think, the first group of death, in my opinion. You've got Spain, Croatia and Italy in there. Albania, they're on a hiding to nothing in that group. Albania will be happy to get a couple of draws out of that group and try and keep goal scoring down. But in saying that, Italy, since winning the last Euros, didn't qualify for the last World Cup, and they're not the team they were even a few years ago. Croatia, ageing team. In certain areas. Again, they're not the team that they were at their peak, although when it comes to tournaments, they know how to win games, they know how to make semi-finals and finals. Spain, obviously, they have a lot of talent. Can they get those great individual players to play as a team and put the egos and the politics aside? Because Spain's got some issues off the field. Difficult one. I think we are going to see one of the third-place teams, one of the best third-place teams, going through to the second round, coming out of this group, but it could also be the group of death. For a big nation could go out at the first round at the group stage, and this could be one of those groups of death. Then we get to Group C: Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, and England. England are favourites for this group. Denmark, solid side, not overly outstanding, but solid nation when it comes to the Euros and World Cups. They occasionally put in some great performances, and occasionally they can struggle to score, but they're very, very solid. Serbia, big physical team. They won't back down from a challenge. Slovenia, they have appeared obviously at major tournaments before, but sporadically. They do have some good players and good technical players. The Slovenia-Serbia game could be a bit tasty. England, for me, are favourites if they get things right for this group with the style of football they can play. Denmark will be a solid, just pretty solid standard team, not overly expansive. Serbia will be physical. Slovenia a little bit unknown, but England should be group winners. If they're not group winners out of this, I think big changes need to happen with the FA. But we're assuming this is Gareth Southgate's last tournament in charge of England. But if England don't get out of that group, that will be there'll be some ramifications for that. But that's not a hard group. I would say that we could again potentially could see one of the best third place teams progressing to the next round from that group. Very difficult group to really say who's going to be second, but England are favourites for that group. Group D, another group of death in my opinion. Poland, the Netherlands, Austria and France. 4 really good nations. Austria can trouble any nation on their day. They should not be underestimated. Poland, playing in Germany, that's going to motivate some of these Polish players. A lot of the Polish players actually play in Germany, so they'll be used to the stadiums and the conditions. The Dutch, they can be brilliant one game, useless the next. They can score goals and then they can struggle to score goals. They can be very inconsistent, but they can be very entertaining. As I say, Austria shouldn't be underestimated. Very solid, hard-working team, good team work ethic, good structures. And France, have, won World Cups and Euros. They've got some of the best players in the world, Griezmann, Mbappe. But they are an enigma. They can be brilliant or they can implode. And Didier Deschamps, much like Gareth Southgate, while he's had a lot of success as France head coach, he has. He's not very popular with the French sporting public. And sometimes some of his selections and the style of play raises some eyebrows, much like Gareth Southgate, who goes, who doesn't go, how he manages the egos in the team. But that is the other major group of death, in my opinion. That's a group of death. A big nation will go out from Group D. A big nation will fail to get to the second round. We could potentially only see two nations qualify from that group, or potentially one of those best third place nations going through to the second round. But that is a group of death. A big nation will be going home at the end of the group stage from Group D. Group E is a lot easier. Belgium are favourites for it. Well, the last World Cup, was that their window? Can they potentially still win a major tournament with the squad they've got? They've still got some great players. De Bruyne is still, at the moment he's playing fantastically for Man City. Slovakia, solid, not outstanding. Romania, when was the last time we saw them at a major tournament? It's been a long time since Romania has qualified. They've had some great players in the past. Could this be a new dawn for Romania? And Ukraine, with everything that's going on with Ukraine, I mean, there's going to be a lot of passion with that team. They should not be underestimated. They've got some great technical players. They do have a great team work ethic, great team unity. But Belgium are favourites for Group E. This could be one of those groups where, again, battle for second place. Romania, that lack of tournament experience in the last 2 decades could count against them. Slovakia, solid, not outstanding, although they did have a bit of a mare at the last Euros. Ukraine, they're going to be passionate. They're going to be really emotional, motivated. Can they control their emotions with everything that's going on with the conflict in their country? But Belgium are favourites for that group. Much like England with Group C, Group E is an easier group. But Belgium, I think, have underperformed with the talent that they've got to their disposal. Now we get to Group F, and I think this is a bit of a hard one to actually predict. You've got Turkey, Georgia, who are tournament debutants, Portugal and the Czech Republic. Turkey should not be underestimated. They underperformed at the last Euros with, the talent that they have available. Georgia, we don't know what to expect from them. They are a great unknown. First major tournament, so they could really surprise us. And throw some cat amongst the pigeons and cause a bit of chaos. Portugal, post-Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, what are they going to dish up? They've got some great technical players. They've got some great young players. They can be really entertaining. But they've been so reliant on Ronaldo, now it's time for some other players to shine. They've got some brilliant players, but they can, much like Spain, there's a lot of egos in this squad. Much like France, they could mentally implode. They could underperform. And then you've got the Czech Republic, who, have got some good players. The history that the Czechs have in European football cannot be understated. They've always, and even Slovakia, have always produced, when it was Czechoslovakia and now with the two countries, has always produced some really good top quality players. Some of my favourite players have represented the Czech Republic over the years. They should not be underestimated. Well, this is one of the weaker groups on paper, and Portugal are favourites. This could actually be a very, very tight group, and it's very hard to predict who's going to come first, second, third, fourth. Georgia are the unknown in that one. That's going to be a fun group to watch. That could be the most entertaining group to watch because of that unknown. Or it could be a lot of dour games where teams are a little bit nervous to lose. So we may see a lot of draws in that game, but that could be quite an interesting one. So there we go. There's the 6 groups. Some interesting nations absent. Sweden, for example, haven't qualified. That's a big miss. Greece, former tournament winners 20 years ago, haven't qualified, although they're not the team that they once were. So there are some notable absences of teams. And also there's some noticeable teams who haven't been there for a while, like Romania, and debutants like Georgia. So there's some unknowns in this. But the quality across Europe, I think, has massively improved from where it was. I do think that. I think it is definitely massively improved from where it was, let's say, the late 90s. While I'm not a fan of the 2014 format, it's either got to be 16 or 32, and there'll be those who say 32, that's too many, it will dilute the product. Actually, the last Euros, while it was in that 2014 format, the group stage was highly entertaining. I think there was very few goalless draws. Most games had scoring in them, and there were very few draws outright anyway. So there was a lot of results on the day where a team wins, a team loses. Thoroughly enjoyable tournament back in 2021. In recent international tournaments, there has been less scoreless draws. So goal scoring is definitely up in international football. We do have some weaker groups and some stronger groups. There are two groups of death, in my opinion. In Group B and Group D are literally a big nation potentially could go home at the group stage, and we could have brain explosions on social media. Germany, while they're in an easier group, since 2014, so over the last decade, they have struggled to get past the group stage in major tournaments. World Cup 2018, we had the last World Cup in Qatar, didn't get out the group, and the last Euros they didn't get very far into the latter stages of the tournament either. They didn't make the semis or the final. So Germany have been a bit of an enigma, considering that they have a very talented group of hard-working players. They're underperforming. So there we go. That's the Euro 2024 preview. Place your thoughts on where you think the group stages are going to go. It's obviously almost impossible to really predict. You can say this team is a favourite, this team is one of the favourites, but as we've seen before, a team like Greece can go all the way and win it, or a team like Portugal could draw every single group stage game and then go on to win it as well. So you can have a poor group stage or be unfancied and then just go on a run. And of course, the Group E, for example, is this Belgium's time to really actually make a statement with the group of players they have, or has their golden generations window passed? Is this make or break for Belgium at a major international tournament with this current crop of players? Or some of these players are towards the end of their international careers, but De Bruyne is still there, and they still keep producing talented players. Can Belgium finally win an international tournament? But for me, for now, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I'll have some more content for you guys very, very soon.